Hello, welcome back to the Law of Karma, Destiny and Choice. Today we will be looking at it from an entirely different angle entitled Accidents, Coincidences and Mistakes. If you have ever wondered whether these were as they appear to be, or is there another deeper meaning behind it, I'd invite you to sit back and enjoy the next half an hour with us. Hello, Sister Denise, and a very warm welcome to you.
Hello, Magla. Thank you.
I'd like to take it one by one. Is there such a thing as an accident?
Tell that to the insurance companies. Obviously, there are accidents or what seem to be an accident, but of course, there's a lot more behind it.
Yes, there's. I'm not referring to the actual unfolding of events. I'm wondering about the what is called the cosmic plan, the cosmic joke, the cosmic bringing together of two individuals randomly, what appears to be random, bringing them together and poof. From a karmic perspective, is there such a thing as an accident?
Do you remember we were driving together on a very narrow hairpin bend?
Yeah.
And there were two cars coming at high speed together, and the people were screaming in an inebriated state, and it could have been the end of the story, but it wasn't.
Yes, I remember that. Actually, I'll never forget that. Yes, my hair is still standing up at the back of my head as a result of that. Yeah.
But the thing was that at that time, I remember experiencing myself being completely calm, fully in control. I calculated that there was just enough space with millimeters to go through the gap, and it was well. And this, I'm telling you this because in spiritual teachings, it is said that accidents occur when you're not paying attention. If an accident did occur, a comment would be made, well, your yoga wasn't right. So I think that there's something to look at in this.
Isn't that harsh?
I don't know if it's harsh, but it's, I think, quite important for a person to know that you think it's somebody else's fault always. You look for somebody else's fault. You have a dash cam on your car which proves it's somebody else's fault, right? Because the camera is looking at the road. And it can indicate that. But I think what spiritual practice is saying is that an accident is much less likely if you are right there in a good stage of consciousness and you're connected with God, and I definitely felt a presence on that particular occasion, and you will get through it. And so it's a caveat saying, take care at every step. And this is a very good insurance policy to avoid a possible accident.
Could you repeat that one line again so that people could note it down as to the thought process?
Just as a life policy, there's an expression, more haste, less speed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are rush, or they don't look where they're going, and then they trip.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But if you're very connected with your body, that's not body conscious, that's soul conscious, and you are aware of your environment, you're aware of the atmosphere around you, because when you're aware to that extent, you get premonition of danger. And with the premonition, you can be especially alert, especially calm, and get through a dangerous moment, and then there's no problem. But if you're not paying attention, you will be caught by the potential for an accident, and it becomes an accident. There's an expression, forewarned is forearmed.
Mm-hmm.
I think this goes with it. Just being careful all the time doesn't mean being hypervigilant, but just being aware and sensing what's going on. Sometimes I've experienced this, that there's somebody who's really not in a good condition, who's walking down the street towards you. If you're attentive, you can see this from quite far away, and you can cross the street without the person getting the idea that you did it because you noticed them and they leave you alone. It's just a kind of streetwiseness of taking care.
Mistakes. We all do that on a daily basis, but the actual mistake and the consequences of the mistake, is that a quirk of the drama of life, or what? What is it all about?
A lot of mistakes are again because of inattention. You're writing an SMS, you make a typo because you send it without reading it. Make a typo. You're not attentive to the feelings of the person you're speaking to, and you make a really bad mistake. We were talking earlier about karma, the laws of karma and compassion. And somebody may be in a very dire situation, and then a person who knows about karma, maybe inadequately, will say, "Oh, that's just your karma." That's a very bad mistake, because you have done harm all the while knowing all that you need to know about karma. And karma says, if you tell the truth in a harsh way or in a uncaring way, it's not truth anymore. It becomes a mistake, a bad mistake, and you will have to pay heavy for that because you were not attentive. Maybe it was karma, but that's not how you communicate it, you see. There are some mistakes that are really inadvertent. You cover all your bases, you are attentive, but still a mistake happens. You can be horrified by that mistake, but we would have to say, okay, you were careful, but it was destined. Because of that mistake, some other thing is, some other bad thing is prevented. Sometimes people get a mistake on the time of their flight, and the flight crashes. That was a very good mistake.
Yeah, I've heard and read of such situations. Okay, coincidences. I have a very good friend who says that a coincidence is a spiritual pun.
That's a wonderful expression.
Yeah.
I think you can also talk about coincidence and synchronicity.
I love that word.
I do too, yeah. Synchronicity is very interesting because when you're in a very, you can say very tuned in state of consciousness, things that wouldn't normally happen at the same time do happen. And we experience very much when we are in Mount Abu. There's a lot of people there, it's a large place, the headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris, but there is a phenomenon that occurs there that if you're looking for someone, within seconds they appear. And it happens so much that you can't say, oh, it's just a coincidence. There's something about very high spiritual vibrations that makes things happen according to your need. At face value, there are accidents and mistakes and coincidences, but when you're operating in a very well-tuned spiritual way, or if you're supposed to be and you're not, that's when you notice these things are not really as people normally experience them.
As far as destiny is concerned, where do these three phenomena fit in?
Part of it is choice. And one thing that we didn't mention is about if you cause an accident.
Okay, let's talk about that.
You understand the track of destiny, you understand there is destiny, and sometimes something happens, there's nothing you can do about it. And then you have to let go, and you have to accept. But the laws of life are you have to be attentive because you're responsible. And if you are careless and inattentive and you cause an accident, then the law of karma will come down on you because you are responsible. Even if legally you can get out of responsibility, but karmically you can't.
That is quite big. Most people are aware and deal with the laws of their own country. of the country they may be in at the time. Very few are aware that above the law of any country in the world, the law of karma applies. Very few. Give us some more details on that, because I think that it is important for individuals to understand the operation of that. And Sister Denise, because of my profession, I've seen individuals who may or may not be guilty according to the law of the country, employing the best counsel in order to be exonerated from the crime of which they are charged.
If you get the best lawyers, which is going to cost you a lot of money, you will try, but you might get off, but your conscience won't let you go. I think you might well also have a fear, an underlying fear, that sooner or later this is going to come and hit me in the face, and it will, because the law of karma cannot be escaped. You might be able to get away with it in this life, but when you take birth in your next life, you might find yourself in a very, very difficult position. And this is the sort of difficult situation. A baby is born with birth defects or all sorts of problems, not very good parents, whatever. And somebody who knows about karma will understand that this baby is settling karma. But people don't see a baby as a soul who's just come from some criminal life. They see a baby as a baby. And they say, it's unfair. Why did God give this person this bad situation? It's not right. But the baby will suffer, the parents will suffer as well. And so you will take birth according to your karma, and there's a lot of payment that takes place for previous life activities in subsequent lives, which people who don't know these things, who are affected by ignorance, as I mentioned earlier, they will not be able to figure it out at all, and they will maybe be against God because of it, or they will be filled with resentment against life because they don't understand what's going on.
So when it comes to accidents, mistakes and coincidences, tell us how destiny and choice fit into that picture. Or how do those fit into the picture of destiny and choices?
We look at destiny, just think about how we two met. You remember? We went for a walk, we didn't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think something like, I said, I'd be really, I need you to come on TV with me.
I thought that was a joke. I really thought that was a joke.
I didn't know anything about you, nothing. I didn't know whether or not you were able to be a good interviewer or anything like that. I just came out with it, and you thought it was a joke. But with hindsight, we can say, looking at the future, the past makes sense, but at the moment of the past, just that situation, that destiny, you just couldn't figure it out. But with hindsight, you can say, it made sense in the drama of life for this to be initiated, and even the time when it was initiated is very timely, So it's as if destiny has an intelligence. It's not a soul, but it has an intelligence. And I find in spiritual practice that you need to be in tune with the drama or the destiny, because it will speak to you. And you will often get premonitions about something that's going to happen. So be ready, something really good is going to happen, so go for it. Or be careful, there's some really difficult thing about to happen, so watch your step, because there's going to be trouble ahead, so be careful. All of a sudden you find yourself whisked away and you're not living somewhere, you're living some totally different place. But with hindsight you would understand, I finished my interaction with those people, that's, destiny with them finished, and now I have a story with these other people, which is some kind of settlement of account, maybe a short story, finish, and then that's over and something else. And you even get moved from place to place by destiny. It may not be your choice at all. Or something happens which forces you to change the course of your life, which is exactly what's needed. And many, coincidences and things will come up to give you a message that, this is the right thing, go for this, even though it doesn't make any sense, but it's the right thing, so go for it, And it's part of just being more subtly aware of the reason behind things that look like accidents, coincidences, and mistakes. And this is why people in the spiritual community generally say there are never any mistakes.
As I listen to you, I can't help but wonder that a person who's able to avoid most accidents that are about to happen will take benefit from coincidences and also avoid making mistakes to the best of his or her ability has to be somebody who is wise.
Well, if you're wise already, that's good, but sometimes the accidents will make you wise. They'll force you to wake up and pay more attention. So sometimes it's a wake-up call also.
When it does happen. Sister Denise, in a previous episode, we took up the subject of every cloud having a silver lining. How does that relate to the two so-called negatives in this episode of accidents and mistakes? Is there a silver lining?
It really is up to you to look at the situation from enough angles as to be able to see the benefit that is to be derived, because benefit is there in every situation, but you can't take benefit until you can see it. So that means you have to really look at it from a lot of angles and understand that this happened for a reason, and you need to figure out what that reason is. Reason being, it's a lesson, it's a enlightenment, it's a message, it's something, but it's important.
When it comes to practicing the awareness of being a soul, you said something earlier that caught my attention. You said you become more attuned. That is a skill that obviously requires refinement. How does one go about refining that skill? Because every one of us would love to avoid all accidents. Every one of us would want to make little or no mistakes. Tell us how one goes about refining that skill, that spiritual skill.
What's important is to make sure that you meditate every day, and maybe several times a day, because the practice of meditation has many side effects. And one of the side effects is that you are in tune with what's about to happen, what's happening. It causes that refinement to happen, because what your meditation is about is to perceive the mind of God with your mind.
That is so lovely. It's so precious.
But it's very subtle, it's very refined, but that is the purpose of meditation. That's what meditation is about. Which means you have to be very able to perceive yourself. And then you get very able to perceive God. Both yourself and God are non-material realities, energies, beings. And then a byproduct of that is you can perceive the meaning in what's happening in the drama of life as it plays out. You get to be able to see what's really going on.
There are individuals who are accident prone, and there are those individuals who are clumsy and make a lot of mistakes. This may or may not have any bearing on their intellectual capacity. There are many people who are highly intelligent who fall into this category. What is your take on somebody who is accident prone and tends to make a lot of errors?
Well, I think they're out of touch with their bodies.
Really? Why do you say that?
Your body is a very good instrument, and if you're well tuned with your body will let you know if there's an uneven paving, so then you don't trip because you just pick it up. I have been in contact with a Nobel Prize winning physicist who was so out of touch with his body, you know, might as well be a head without a body, like
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking. Now, Stephen Hawking is a very extraordinary example of a head out of touch with the body. He's used technology in an incredible way to be able to speak and all of these things. So Stephen Hawking, because of his disease, motor neuron disease, used technology to sort of be a substitute for a body that he couldn't be in touch with. But there are many people who are so much in their head that they just don't notice what's going on around them, and then they do fall down when they don't need to. So I think one needs to balance that, and yoga is all about balance. You need to be really in touch with your environment so that your body is helping you to be free from any kind of unnecessary accident.
When you use the word coincidence and synchronicity, another word popped into my mind of magic. There are some individuals who are able to invoke magic into their lives. I'm not talking about, the dark magic. That's not the subject of today's conversation. Good type of magic where pleasant things await you round the corner, where you meet the right people and you invoke good in your life. I have a friend who says that I want my life to be all about the magic that appears around every corner, which I think is a beautiful expression to live by. So how does one invite coincidences that are so favorable to you that it seems, wow, God in the universe, wow, God really loves me right now?
Why we call it magic is because we don't know the mechanism behind it.
There is a mechanism behind magic?
There is a mechanism.
Do tell.
Well, that is punya. Punya, the extremely good karma. And if you have a history, maybe in another life, a history and sanskaras of doing really, really good, extremely good karma, then there'll be plenty of magic because it's the fruit of that karma. But because you don't know about karma, you call it magic. People who've never seen a cell phone will call that magic. Nowadays, I think they're so well known that that doesn't happen. But the first time you see a piece of technology that you never even heard of before, you have this wonder, wow, this is magic. Then you find out how it works, and it's not magic anymore.
Punya is magic.
Punya produces results that you call magic. It's not really magic at all. And this is why the more you know about karma, God, destiny, choice, your spiritual attributes, the more you can cause things to happen for you that seem to be magic, but there is a science behind it.
When I take a fresh look at today's topic, I sense that your message, especially in respect of the first two, is to teach individuals how to remain safe.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Pay attention at every step.
This attention?
Be aware. Look where you're going. Listen for signals. Be conscious of what's around. And be in the present. Because if you're busy, distracted by something or another, you miss the signals. There are signals. You have to pick them up.
I think on that magical note, we will bid you farewell. So there you go. Accidents, mistakes, coincidence, synchronicity, magic. Sister Denise has given us some deep and meaningful insights into all of these words or terminology. She has also shared wisdom as to how to proceed through life with caution so that you minimize the first two and maximize the last three. A very beautiful and powerful message, and my hope for you is may you always remain safe. Take care. Goodbye.